Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video. And today we're covering Places of Power. This is a really old assault battle in the game, but it's getting a fresh coat of paint like a couple of other things we've seen in the game recently. We had some new tiers added, and with those new tiers, some new rewards, and they're pretty good. Most of the other assault battles, I think we've seen 2 of them so far. Their difficulty ramps up pretty high as you go through the new tiers. You really need to have either the exact setup of a team and kind of work a gimmick, or have some really impressive relic levels in order to get through them. And first word of advice, take that with caution. Don't just jump in. There's a lot of things going on in the game right now, so be careful where you dump your resources just to chase the newest, shiniest thing. So the plan for today, we've got the Mythic tier, and then Challenge 1 and Challenge 2. And I'm going to try and get through all of these. And the way we're going to do it is, I'm pretty sure my team can auto Mythic, and I'm pretty sure it can auto Challenge 1. And we're going to attempt to auto it for Challenge 2, just to see how it goes. While that's going on, I have a couple of things I want to discuss. This will be a little bit of a, review of the last month or so of the game, the direction that it's going in. So I'll have a chance to talk about that while the auto battle plays out. And then if we fail on our auto run for Challenge 2, we'll wrap up at the end by trying to manual through Challenge 2, and we'll see if the team that I have is good enough to do it. So the requirements for this battle, it can be First Order or Sith. A lot of people might have a really good First Order team if you've been chasing Galactic Legends Kylo Ren instead of Galactic Legends Rey. I'm going the Rey route first, so my resistance are getting better. My First Order is still really bad. So instead, I'm going with the Sith. And the best leader for most things Sith related are, surprise, Emperor Palpatine. Really gets the turn meter train going when you can throw out some debuffs, and it allows the team to get lots of turns, cycle through quickly, and kind of build up turns. And if you have Nihilus as part of your team, feeding him turns allows him to get his Annihilate going and take out powerful enemies on the enemy team, which can be the key to kind of dismantling the whole thing. So what we're going to do here is go in. We've got Palpatine, Bastilla, Nihilus, and I'm going to go with Traya and Dooku. And I'll explain why as we get into it. But again, I don't think we'll have any trouble here for this first wave. So we're on 4x speed, and we're just going to set auto and let this roll. So first thing I want to address is why Count Dooku. Obviously, he's not the best Sith. He's not clearly in the top 5. He doesn't have super great synergy like Sion would, is going with the Triumvirate, or Darth Revan, or Malik, or all of. I mean, there's a lot of other really good choices. The reason I'm using Dooku is specifically to complete one of the prestigious quests in the game. The Sith quest, I think it's the second round of quests, require you to kill, I think it's like 1,000 Galactic Republic enemies with Count Dooku present. And all of the enemies here, it's mostly Jedi. I don't know if it's exclusively Jedi, but it's a lot of Jedi, and they're all Galactic Republic enemies. So having Dooku here racks up these Galactic Republic kills for him really, really quickly. And the tip, I mean, you could probably knock this out, in one instance of this event. Load up Challenge 2 if you've got a good Sith team. Put in 5 good characters, but not your 5 best. A team that will reliably get to wave 5 or 6 and then die and fall apart. If you do that, if it works the way that other types of these battles have worked, I didn't really test this, and I guess I should have, but I'm pretty sure it'll work this way. Those kills, even if you fail, they'll all count for Dooku. So you can just hit auto, walk away, come back when it's over, hit auto again, walk away. You're going to rack up 30, 40 kills each time, and you'll have that quest done in no time. So that's why I'm choosing Dooku. Again, when I get to Challenge 2, I'm probably going to swap him out, because then I really think that's hurting my chances for an auto-complete run. So, as you can see, we're up to Tier 4 here, our Wave 4 out of 8, and things are going just nicely. And by all means, if you have Dooku well-geared, well-reliced, which you might because he's important for Darkside Geo territory battles, then he is going to be really good. His ability block and shock gets bonuses against Jedi, counterattacking. I mean, he can really do some work shutting down a team. He's not the best character, and I don't have him that well-geared. So again, we're trying to make him work here. But feel free to adjust your lineup accordingly. So the two things that I wanted to kind of discuss while we're getting ready here to do our manual run if it's needed. The first thing that I want to talk about is the direction of the game. In a Q&A, I think it was in December, or maybe it was just in January, right after the new year started, one of the questions that came up in a Q&A was about lack of content. We've kind of been in a stalled out cycle. We had Grand Arena Championships, which was just Grand Arena but all the time, and nothing makes something grand not be grand other than like running it constantly. So that wasn't really an improvement. And then we got a Dark Side Geo Territory Battle and Light Side Geo Territory Battle, but Light Side, the difficulty's insane. That's not content. I mean, it's punishment, and it's got some strategy, and you engage with the game to get through it, but you're just tolerating it. You're not playing it. So we had that, and then there was this answer to a question from the devs in the Q&A about lack of content, and they kind of really hit the drum beat and said, yep, it's coming. It's an ocean of content, or an ocean of characters. Like, lots of new stuff is on the way. And here we are, it's the end of February, and we've seen nothing. New characters, no. New events, no. And then, all of a sudden, very recently, in the last week or so, the one thing we had was the Galactic Legends. But we didn't really know anything about it, and that kind of ties into my second point, which I'll get to. But then, all of a sudden, we've had some content trickling out. We had the Raddus introduced and the Finalizer, two new capital ships for the Resistance and the First Order. And the requirements for at least the Raddus when it came out were a little bit ridiculous, including ships that had nothing to do with the Resistance faction, with Holdo, with the Raddus itself. Things like the Ebon Hawk from another era, that characters had no tie to the lore. So that was a little bit weird. And the justification for it didn't make sense either. The justification was, well, we needed to round out the team, and those ships kind of go with the Raddus. And as usual, the easy answer here would just be, look, we wanted to monetize it. We wanted to have a little bit of a panic farm. Those are ships that people don't have geared in great numbers, so that's why we picked them. Just say that, and it'll be fine. This other excuse of, well, we needed to round out the team is nonsense. We have a mission that requires bounty hunter ships. That's how you get the Millennium Falcon, and there's only 4 of them. So you could have just made the requirements to be the Resistance ships, and then let us fill in the lineup with whatever we wanted to. You chose not to do that. You chose to put 7 ships required, the full team to be required, because you wanted us to waste resources or invest resources in ships that haven't been too heavily invested in. Again, that's fine. Don't cover it up. Don't lie about it. That doesn't make any sense. So, a little bit annoyed about the presentation for how the requirements for the Raddus rolled out. Yes, they don't make sense, and that's annoying, but that's par for the course. They pick whatever they want, and they make us invest, and we chase the dog, and that's how the game works. But just be upfront about it. So then, actually today, the Finalizer event release. This is the First Order capital ship, and we can see the requirements for that one are more reasonable. There's no Ebon Hawk. It doesn't even require all the First Order ships. The First Order Special Forces TIE Fighter pilot isn't required, or his ship isn't required, which I was sure it was going to be, because that's the one thing on that side I don't have to 7 stars, but it's not there. Instead, it's bounty hunter ships that we've had for a while, that you have, because if you've been playing and you chase the Falcon, you'll have them ready to go. So the requirements for that one are better, and that's fine, but even if they weren't, you could have completely justified the Special Forces TIE pilot because it's part of the faction. And again, say, yeah, and also it's a ship people don't have geared, and that would have been fine. So presentation is a complaint, openness in motivations. Like, this is a game. They need to make money to keep the doors open, to keep the people paid. That's fine. Just tell us when you're doing something that has that as the motivation behind it. Don't, like, backdoor something into it. The same with the Cairo tech. Oh, we wanted to alleviate the gear crunch with Carbantes by putting this new gear in. No, you wanted to create a new gear crunch. Every new character requires Cairo tech. It's harder to get Cairo tech, so you wanted people to invest crystals in it when a new character comes out to rush to get them geared up. And again, that's fine. Just say it. So, we have these 2 new capital ships in the game, and we have the Galactic Legends in the game. And the one thing that's good, we haven't gotten any new content yet, but we've been told it's coming, and that's fine. I can be patient, I can wait. We have these new things in the game, and I'm okay with it. It's given some long-term chase goals to the game, and that's a big part of the game. When I first started playing, the big thing was, can you get a rank or raid team together? And that was all about assembling these 5 pieces that control turn meter, and that will allow you to solo or do big damage to the rank or raid. And you had to get things like T-bow, right? Like these oddball pieces that fit together. And we had a lot of those early on in the game. Like when you wanted to get Grand Admiral Thrawn, there was the team to get him. When you wanted to, or the Phoenix team. When you wanted to get Palpatine, there was the team. When you wanted to get Master Yoda, there was the team. And so you had these kind of long-term goals that you could work towards. And so I'm fine with that as a stopgap until we get the new game mode, whatever it is, whatever they're anticipating that to be. Instead, we kind of have these goals, collection goals to shoot for, and that's content to me. Again, just tell us that, and I'll be okay with it, and I'm okay with it either way. So I kind of like the fact that they put these new ships in. I have something to do in game. Last year, during 2019, there were gaps in the schedule where all I was doing was waiting and hoarding and just sitting in a holding pattern because I didn't know what was coming next, and I had no goals, and I didn't want to gear up a substandard team because that would just hurt you for Grand Arena. So you just waited. But now I've got active things. I'm chasing ships. I'm chasing characters. And so I think for now, the direction of the game is good, and as long as there's a payoff with actual new content coming soon after, I think that's great. So I kind of been encouraged by how the game has progressed so far. It's slow. I still want that new content, that new game mode, new raid, whatever it is. But so far, giving me a long-term farm goal, that's something. I'll stay engaged, and that'll give me something to focus on, and it'll give me a reward when I get there. So the second thing I want to talk about are the Galactic Legends. This is Rey and Kylo. And again, it's all about messaging. Early on, they said, Capital Games said, we want to change things up a little bit, and we want to let you know earlier on the requirements for the characters so that there's not this crazy panic farm at the end like we've been accustomed to. And, again, we've gotten comfortable with that. We got good at anticipating what was coming next. So if you were paying attention, you could be ready for that panic farm. And if not, you just waited for the second turn for that event to show up, and it was fine. So this time they said, no, we're changing it up. We're going to give you the requirements early, so no panic farm needed. Well, that's not really what they've done. Instead, they said there's going to be 4 groups of characters for each, Kylo and Rey, and you need all 4 groups of these characters, 3 in each group, and they're going to be crazy high levels, crazy high relics that you need to in order to even participate in the event. And the event, I believe it's scheduled for March, maybe mid to late March. So kind of soon. We're 2 weeks to a month away if they hit that date. Now, they might push back, but as far as we know, it's coming within about a month. And we still don't know all of the requirements for the farm. So just because you told us some of the requirements early, they gave us the first round, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Great. You told us some of them early, but if you wait till the day of or the week before, and then you give us the last 4, and one of them, which we know is going to happen, is going to be a newly just off of the pay-only wall, Resistance Hero Poe, hasn't gone free-to-play yet. So if he goes free-to-play on that day, and they say, okay, he's one of the requirements, and the event's coming in 2 weeks, well, you don't get any credit for telling us early what the requirements are. Just because you told us some of them, you saved the hardest one until the end, and you made it not free-to-play friendly. So if that's what happens, you get no credit for telling us some of the requirements early, especially if they're the easier ones. Jedi Training Rey, the character that everybody has the most geared and is the most useful. And then the third batch included characters like Rose, really not useful characters at the moment. And that's fine. She completely makes sense. She's Resistance. I anticipated that from the start, that she was going to be part of the requirements. But again, you saved her for the third of the 4th settings. And if you save the Raddus as the 4th setting, or Resistance Hero Poe the day after he goes farmable, then you've made worse progress. That's worse than it was last year when we had this kind of 2 week to 1 month panic farm when we could kind of anticipate it and kind of prepare for it. This would be a step backwards. So if that's what's going to happen, we don't know yet. Maybe we're going to find out the 4th round of characters tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday, so not likely, but maybe it'll happen. And then you say, and the event's not coming for 2 months. Well, then fine. You lived up to your promise. You gave us 2 months with all the requirements, and I will retract any consternation I have about this. But I don't think that's the way this is going. I'm pretty sure you're going to release the 4th round with a week or 2 to go, and it's going to include the least farmable character in the game, Resistance Hero Poe. So I just want to put everybody on notice that I think that's what's coming, and we need to, again, read. I don't know who's in charge of the messaging, of delivering the news, but the way you're doing it, you're not fooling anybody. You're not tricking us. You're just looking deceptive. Just tell us straight up what you're doing, and that'll be fine.